What am I going to do now when it comes to Polkadot, even though nothing I say is financial advice? My point of view is this. When it comes to DOT, sure, it's top 30 as of right now in terms of market cap, but at the same time, it hasn't really done much, so people like to say, oh wow, take a look at the pullback as of right now and how it's kind of been underwhelming for this cycle. But first of all, my reaction is this, even though I'm going to talk about this cycle and that discussion later on in the video, but I first want to talk about the pullback that we're seeing as of right now when it comes to DOT. Well, is it only DOT or is it a bunch of other altcoins? Altcoins, generally speaking, are not doing the best as of right now. And there's almost kind of no distinction in my perspective, in a sense where a project that's not necessarily known to have rock solid fundamentals, they're also having a pullback. And then the ones that are known for having good fundamentals are also having a pullback. So if let's say both projects that are known for good fundamentals and not are having a pullback, what am I going to focus on? I'm going to focus on the ones that I actually like in terms of the fundamentals. It's kind of like, for instance, let's say I walk inside a store. Let's say I really want a pair of jeans, but then the whole store is generally having a discount. Even the tank tops and all this. So if I walk inside that store, am I going to be choosing the tank top or the jeans? Yeah, sure, the tank top's having a discount, but also the jeans. So just kind of this event where if, let's say, a bunch of things are having a discount, I'm going to be focusing on the ones that I actually do want. And in that case, if I walk inside the store, I'm going to be choosing the jeans because that's the one I want. So in my perception as of right now, even a project that is just kind of relatively unknown and then not really doing the best, they're having a pullback. DOT, it's also having a pullback. So am I going to be focusing on something like that? Nah, not really if I don't like the fundamentals. At the same time as well, if we take a look at it, Polkadot still has a presence, I think, within this space because of the fundamentals. This is often ignored because people like to say, oh, DOT going to $50 is around an 18x from here. It's so far away. Totally understand that, even though when we take a look at just back in December, less than a year ago, the market cap was around 4 times what we're seeing as of right now. But despite that, why do I like the fundamentals? Well, it's because there's many blockchains, there's many networks, but a lot of them, in some cases, lack something called interoperability. They can't freely send data and value to each other. So what is Polkadot focused on? It's focused on interoperability, connecting blockchains together. That's the way to take a look at it if I were to describe Polkadot in kind of the most simple way possible, in my perspective. Is that necessarily such a cool thing to be focused on? It may not be the coolest, but it actually has a function. It actually serves a purpose, in my opinion. And I think that sometimes people like to say, oh, this isn't going to be a big narrative because people like this project. They like this one. They don't like a project that's trying to connect blockchains together. That's kind of boring. Sometimes people like to say that. Totally understand that. But if DOT, even currently as of right now, has over 1 million holders despite the pullback, I don't think it is a project that is maybe in some cases ignored. Not to mention as well, when I take a look at Polkadot, what I find interesting is that it is not a project that's going to be reliant on kind of the attention, or should I say having a very massive fan base, because other projects out there, if the fan base isn't there, if there is no more attention, what is the longevity of it? At least Polkadot has proven historically that it's actually done something. Like sure, people like to say, oh, Polkadot 2.0, who's going to care about that? No one really asked for that. Granted, no one really asked for Polkadot 2.0, but the fact that they even bothered to talk about that type of stuff and kind of, announce it basically, it is still something that I think is pretty commendable because they didn't have to do that, right? Like without Polkadot 2.0, Polkadot already has a good following. Like DOT even already has a good amount of holders. Like it's not necessarily necessary, but they're still putting effort. So I still like that. They're putting effort in some cases, which I feel like no one asked for, but they did it anyways. And sometimes people like to say, oh, it's just kind of random. Why'd they do that? And sometimes things can be a little bit random in my perspective. Like, for instance, I want to show a picture of me back in January, so literally less than a year ago. And for whatever reason, I just one day decided that, you know what, I'm going to start doing cardio a lot more. And then also I was reducing the portions I was consuming. Now, why did I do that? It was just kind of random, actually, but yeah, I just did that. But I'm saying, is this kind of like Polkadot 2.0? Nah, not really. But even besides that as well. When it comes to Polkadot, my perception is that, sure, a lot of things are kind of relying on it, right? Like, for instance, Kusama, which is its canary network, something like Moonbeam, which is on Polkadot, but then the thing is Moonriver, which is a canary network to Moonbeam, and then, again, Moonbeam is on Polkadot, and then Moonriver's on Kusama. A lot of things are kind of relying on Polkadot. So when Polkadot's not doing the best, we also see something like Kusama, something like Moonbeam, something like Moonriver. But in my perspective, the way I take a look at it is that I have not seen an altcoin season during this cycle. So how can I really just evaluate DOT fully in that sense? If, let's say, for whatever reason, there's this massive hypothetical time when there's this altcoin season and all this, and let's say DOT wasn't doing anything, then that's a different case. Then that's probably a telltale sign that, you know what, it's not really going to do much. But I haven't seen an altcoin season during this cycle, so how can I say that? I haven't given up when it comes to Polkadot. Sure, as of right now, it's not the best feeling whatsoever, but personally, I did not even mind dollar cost averaging into DOT when the market cap was around 10 billion, even when it was above 10 billion, because I was dollar cost averaging once a month, right? So if, let's say, we take a look at just the historical price chart, back in August, the market cap was around 6 billion. And then in September, I'm talking about 2024, right? But again, back in September that time, around that $7 billion range, then went to around 6.5 billion, 6 billion. Then suddenly in December, we saw that $16 billion market cap range when it comes to DOT. The whole time I was dollar cost averaging once a month. So I didn't mind dollar cost averaging when it was around a $6 billion market cap, even when it was around that $12 billion market cap range. And even just we take a look at in August and September, around that $6.5 to $7 billion market cap range, I didn't even mind dollar cost averaging into that as well. So now that it's actually below $5 billion in market cap, I would suddenly mind? Yeah, I don't know why I would mind actually. And the last time I saw, right, DOT reach a market cap of below 5 billion was back in 2023. And that was before we saw DOT have a pretty good resurgence to around that $14.6 billion market cap range before it had a pullback, and then it went all the way back up again to around 16 billion and then went down again to, what we're seeing as of right now. Keep in mind, I have not seen below $5 billion in market cap when it comes to DOT in over 2 years at this point. What does that mean? I mean, who knows, but I'm just saying, I just haven't seen that in over 2 years. So if my intention is a dollar cost average, would I mind what I'm seeing as of right now if I haven't seen these levels in terms of market cap for over 2 years? I don't think I would mind. So far, I still like what they're doing fundamentally. Sure, it's not the most popular project out there, but it's not necessarily the most not popular either. I'm still going to be holding, and I don't need DOT to do these groundbreaking figures or something like that. Even if, let's say, DOT for whatever reason went to $50, around an 18x from here? What is Ethereum going to do in the next, let's say, 5 months or 6 months? If Ethereum goes to 10 grand, we're not talking about a 5x or something. No, it's still above 3 grand currently. So to me, it is what it is. I mean, what I focus on is projects that have a good use case in my perspective, that have a market cap that's pretty okay, but not way too massive, but not way too small either. So this is why I am still staying patient. But ultimately, I can't do anything about an altcoin season happening or not. I don't have the capabilities to control or demand something like that to happen. I can just wait and that's it, which is why I'm just preparing by dollar cost averaging once a month, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. And that's pretty much about it. But in the meantime, all I can do is stay patient, but I want to stay patient with the projects that I do like because, generally speaking, a bunch of altcoins are not doing the best. So if that is the case, I'm going to be focusing on the ones that I actually like the fundamentals and not the ones that I don't like the fundamentals of because they're also having a pullback. So if both are having a pullback, I'm going to be focusing on ones that I actually like in terms of the fundamentals. But that's just my perspective. I'm not telling anyone anything, and nothing I say is financial advice. But I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a nice day. I greatly appreciate it. I'll catch you all in the next one. It's Winley the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.